Hello, magical people. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and happy Gemini season. I'm filming this on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, and we are finally in Gemini season. I'm so happy to be talking with you all about this sun sign season. The energies are going to start getting lighter. Thank God. So, very excited to get into this with you guys, our main transits and my predictions that we've got for this Gemini season. And I'm also going to be sharing how to best work with the energies of this time of year in the natural astrological calendar. But before I get started, please remember, you guys, to like and subscribe to this video in my channel if you'd like to support my work. And if you really enjoyed this video, maybe you want to give it a share to someone like-minded. Also, you can find all my links in the description box below for readings, workshops, courses, the Scorpling Shop, which is my best friend Sunny and I's online crystal astrological boutique, where we have many different collections, including our natural calendar for this astrological year we just put out, our astrological crystal prescriptions, crystal juju, all kinds of beautiful offerings over at the Scorpling Shop. Link is below. And also, coming up very soon, my husband Jens and I are going to be hosting our Soulful Summer Solstice Retreat weekend, the last weekend of June, right after the summer solstice, in the beautiful Northern Edge Retreat Center in Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada. Shout out to Sunny. Thank you for making me this awesome poster for the retreat. We're going to be celebrating the summer solstice in like-minded community, daily meditations, activations, ceremony, singing, dancing, earthing, moosing, Sasquatching. It's going to be very, very fun. Stargazing at a new moon in Cancer time, where we'll be able to see the Milky Way galaxy from then. So if you'd like full details or to sign up, you can go to my website, megmoonbeam.com. So thank you guys so much for joining me, whether you're catching me live or you're watching the replay. And I got to say, I'm so sorry about the little bit of the technical glitch. It was 5 p.m. Eastern time on my YouTube live stream, but no, it was earlier than that. I don't know. There was a time glitch, so I apologize about that. I see a lot of you guys were here a lot earlier waiting for me to go live. So, I do all my stuff in Eastern time, but I'm in Belgium at the moment. So sometimes we have these technical glitches. It's all good. So Gemini season, Gemini season, Gemini season. Well, this is our third astrological season in the astrological calendar year. Gemini is the third sign, and it's a very light astrological sign. It is the sign that rules communication. Okay, that is the key word for Gemini and Gemini season. It is communication, learning, absorbing information, socialization. It can also be things being doubled. Okay, hence my crazy video poster for today's video. It's twin Megs on the poster. Twins, things being doubled, siblings, friends, our local community, short distance travel, day-to-day activities, day-to-day gadgets, schools, learning. Did I say learning already? Gemini rules a lot of different things. And when we have Gemini season, it can actually feel like a very active, busy time of year. And I'm very happy to report to you guys. We're going to go over the key astro dates. We're going to go over some of my predictions. We're going to go over some of the main transits. I am really happy to report that this Gemini season, the energies are getting a lot lighter. Okay, can we get an amen up in here? Okay, this is getting lighter. Stephanie says, does Gemini rule ego? Typically, Aries and Leo would be the signs that more so rule ego. Good question. So, yeah, why things are getting lighter is because we've started this natural astrological year with a very intense Aries season with a Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde. We just come out of a Mars retrograde. We had an eclipse season. Then we had Taurus season with a lot of challenging, malefic aspects and a full moon in Scorpio, all kinds of very intense things going on. And many of us, I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been feeling like I'm going through a death and rebirth, major shedding, major cleansing, major transformation. So let me know if any of you guys are feeling that as well. I've been definitely feeling that through this Taurus season in particular. Now we're into Gemini season, which is a lot lighter. It's a lot more playful. It's more active. It's an air sign, Gemini. So it's about mental stimulation. It's about information. It's about socialization. A lot of words that end in Asian. Lioness says, double your pleasure, double your fun. I love that. We can make that our little theme phrase for this sun sign season. We have no major adverse aspects with two malefic planets. So, yay, we're going into Gemini season. It is not going to be super heavy. Of course, every sun sign season, there are some, adverse, challenging aspects, but there's nothing major going on. So, this is an amazing time to catch up with friends, to be learning, to be reading, to be writing, to be speaking, to be, sharing yourself on social media if you feel like doing that personally or professionally in healthy ways. Of course, we don't want to be addicted to social media. Doing short distance travel, getting connected to our local community, spending times with our siblings. Gemini rules a lot of things in life, but mostly for me, Gemini is about, of course, communication and learning, also curiosity and paying attention to the facts of the matter and common sense. Common sense is going to be a really big theme for this Gemini season. Also, it's a very unique Gemini season because with the sun being in Gemini, also Jupiter in Gemini until June 9th, until he moves into Cancer. Yay, we're going to have Jupiter move into his exalted sign of Cancer this sun sign season. So exciting. With the sun and Jupiter, the planet of expansion, both in Gemini from May 20th to June 9th, this is really strong Gemini influence. So we're going to be feeling the Gemini even stronger than usual. Challenge of this season is it is going to be a time of information overload, okay? Is going to be a time where in medical astrology, Gemini does have to do with the nervous system and the mind and the hands. We can have more of a propensity for anxiety or nervousness or like ADD tendencies. So a really good astrological remedy is doing extra earthing, grounding, balancing out, the socialization, the information intake, the social media, the news, all that stuff with the opposite sign of Gemini, which is Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius is about the higher perspective, meditation, right? Doing meditative practices, spirituality. So, spiritual practices like meditation, prayer can be a nice balancing act during this time. Also, very interesting that after Gemini season, so after June 20th, shortly after the end of Gemini season, on July 7th, 2025, Uranus is going to finally move into Gemini. So we've been going through, Uranus at fallen Taurus since 2018. That's been one of the reasons why things have been so unstable on the freaking planet. We've been going through Uranus, the planet of unpredictability, instability, innovation, the future, the ruler of Aquarius in Taurus, his least favorite place to be. Very stubborn, slow moving place to be, very challenging. Uranus is going to be entering Gemini, a place he way more would rather be in. And so this Gemini influence, I'm feeling strongly that this Gemini season is almost like a precursor, a preview for the Uranus in Gemini transit that we're going to be in from 2025 until, if I'm remembering correctly, I think 2032, if I'm not mistaken. So things are going to start moving fast, fast, fast with all the outer planets. By the time Uranus goes into Gemini on July 7th, all of them will be in air or fire signs. Things are moving ahead. It's going to be wild, you guys. Ah, So let's talk about some of the key astro dates for this Gemini season. On May 20th, the sun will enter Gemini, which is today. May 22nd, we've got beautiful Venus trine Mars with the sun sextile Saturn. Did I make a typo there, you guys? I think I made a typo there because we had sun sextile Saturn today. I think I made a typo there. Sorry about that, you guys. Venus trine Mars on May 22nd, which is a very creative. Yeah, I did make a typo. Sorry about that, you guys. See, Gemini can be, things having to do with the written word. It can almost feel like sometimes too, with so much Gemini energy, like a Mercury retrograde. Okay. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So if you're feeling like you're noticing little typos, you're feeling the time moving really fast, you're feeling that you're talking really fast, you're feeling a little bit hyperactive, that's Gemini energy. So May 22nd, that Venus trine Mars is a beautiful, creative, sexy, passionate aspect, amazing for creative endeavors, also for romance, sexy time. Okay, it's very passionate and invigorating. May 24th, Saturn, Granddaddy Saturn enters Aries. Okay. Saturn leaving Pisces, where he's been since March 2023, entering Aries, which is his detriment. Sorry, fall position. Okay. Saturn doesn't really like to be in Aries, but even with the planetary fall and detriment positions in the planetary dignities, for those of you who are not familiar, every planet has signs that is, the home, the exaltation, the detriment, and the fall, where they most like to be and least like to be. I feel like even it's a placement Saturn doesn't really like to be in. It's going to bring more action. It's going to bring more energy. Things are going to be moving forward. We're going to be more inspired into our divine masculine. So I'm actually excited for this Saturn in Aries transit. I feel like we really need it. And I'm actually going to be doing a whole separate video on Saturn and Aries here on my Meg Moonbeam channels next Tuesday for the collective and all 12 signs. So I'll give you guys the deep dive on that next week. On the same day that Saturn enters Aries, Sun trine Pluto and Mercury conjunct Uranus. So a lot going on that day that Saturn changes signs, right? This is the chart for when Saturn enters Aries, which will be exact Saturn ingress at May 24th, Thursday. Is that a Thursday? No, Saturday at 11:35 p.m. Eastern. And you guys, when Saturn enters Aries, 0 degrees, he's within a 1-degree conjunction of Neptune. Another thing I'm going to have to do a whole separate video on, which I haven't done a video on yet, that's Saturn-Neptune conjunction in a 1-degree orb. We're very strong in that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. They'll both be in the same sign on Saturday. And even though they've been within a 5-degree orb since March, we're going to really see what that transit is all about. Saturn rules the systems and structures of life. Neptune is about things dissolving and cleansing, right? And being purified. So a lot of the matrix continuing to fall. It's going to be very interesting. May 25th, Mercury enters Gemini. And okay, from May 25th to June 9th, it's the Sun, Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, and Jupiter all in Gemini. This is Gemini City. Okay, this time period, we're going to call it Gemini City. We are feeling it. We are feeling it. We are feeling it. And I'm just getting intuitively very strong. There's a lot of creative potential, Spirit is saying, with this Gemini season. There's a lot of fun and playfulness and silliness available. There's a lot of positive opportunity, but we also need to be really mindful of our energy levels, of our nervous system, of our mental health, and not being overstimulated. Right? Stephanie says, I'm Gemini only when there's something worth talking about and who's awake. Interesting. Devsir, Gemini City. I love it. Yeah, we're in Gemini City, y'all. Welcome to Gemini City. May 26th, we have a beautiful new moon in Gemini, which I think is one of actually the most positive new moons out of this current astrological year that we are in. I love it because we've got the new moon in Gemini, we've got Jupiter, the great benefic in Gemini, Mercury conjunct the new moon, we've got granddaddy Saturn in positive aspect to the new moon and Mercury. So we can set intentions whenever we've got Saturn in positive aspects at a time of new moon. Our intentions that we set can last until the long term. And, with new moons in Gemini, I'll do a whole separate video on this, but it's amazing time to be setting intentions through our voice, through the written word, right? Saying our intentions out loud, writing them out loud, singing them, right? Gemini is all about the voice and talking and communication. So stay tuned. I'll do another whole video on that new moon. Very good new moon to be setting intentions. May 29th, we've got a Mercury cazimi, which cazimi is when a planet exactly conjuncts the sun. So the sun will be conjunct Mercury. And this is a day where we can receive very profound insights and downloads of truth and common sense from the universe. So pay attention to the ideas that you receive May 29th with that Mercury cazimi. June 4th, we're moving into June. Can you guys believe it? June 2025, absolutely wild. June 4th, Venus sextile Jupiter. You guys, that's one of the most positive aspects in astrology, the two benefics in positive aspect. That's one of the luckiest days of the year. June 4th, when Venus is in sextile to Jupiter. So be mindful of that. June 5th, Venus will enter Taurus. We'll have Mercury sextile Mars and Mercury square the North Node all in the same day. So that's a very interesting jam-packed day. Venus entering her home sign rulership of Taurus, where she more so likes to be. So that'll be really good for our self-worth, for our values, for the financial system, for women, okay, because Venus does rule women. Very good. June 8th, Mercury enters Cancer and Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Lots of good aspects this month. We don't really have really intense, nasty aspects. June 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer, his exaltation. This is a beautiful, beautiful astrological aspect, you guys. Very lucky for the whole collective, and in particular, Cancer and the water signs. I'm going to have to do a whole separate video on that. There's going to be a lot of videos you guys are going to see on my channel coming out this Gemini season, because there is a lot to talk about for sure. And what else have we got going on? But, that first day of Jupiter entering Cancer on June 9th, it will feel a little funky that day because it'll be Mercury square Saturn and Neptune exact and Venus square Pluto. So wait till a few days after June 9th, then we'll really feel the positive vibes of Jupiter entering Cancer kick in. So that's one of the more challenging days of this Gemini season will be June 9th. June 11th, we've got a full moon in Sagittarius. Okay. The sign of luck. Okay. The sign of higher wisdom and knowledge, higher learning, teachers, guides, foreign travel, foreign places and concepts, religions, right? Belief institutions. So with that full moon in Sagittarius, we will see full moons have to do with endings, cleansing. We will see a dismantling and endings of certain religious institutions, belief-based institutions, philosophies, beliefs that no longer apply to the collective anymore. I think that's going to be a very important full moon to pay attention to, where the dispositor, the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, will be at 0 degrees of Cancer, critical degree in his exaltation. So actually a very lucky new moon to be doing release work, cleansing, paying attention to the opportunities that want to come up. We move on June 15th, another one of, okay, there are some little challenging things we got going on. June 9th, June 15th, June 18th are kind of the funky days in the Gemini season. June 15th is, I believe it's the third Jupiter square Saturn we've been going through in a row the past year, really highlighting granddaddy Saturn, who's now in Aries. Okay, so Jupiter, the planet of expansion, expands whatever he's touching. On June 15th and the days around that, Jupiter in square to the Saturn Neptune conjunction will be expanding the influence of that Saturn Neptune conjunction. There will be very big dissolving of systems, structures, governments, law, order, authority figures that no longer apply. Continued dismantling of the Matrix. Digi Bean says, "Losing my religion." I love that song by REM. Yes, there's religions will be very highlighted with that full moon in Sagittarius. June 17th, Mars enters Virgo, and June 18th, Jupiter square Saturn as well, highlighting that Saturn Neptune conjunction. June 18th, we want to be mindful of misinformation. We want to be mindful of confusion and illusions. Misinformation, actual misinformation. Those are the two ruling planets, Jupiter and Neptune, of Pisces, the sign of illusions, lies, deception, confusion. They're in a square aspect. So just being mindful of that around this time. Okay. Hello, Haunted Historian. I love your username. Um, Okay, what else do I want to share with you guys? Oh, yeah. So I talked about during this Gemini season, information overload, lots going on. One of the things we've got going on is the P. Diddy trial, which has already started in Taurus season. But want to bring to your awareness, my friend Red Pill Rooster and I are doing this series every week where we're going to recap the P. Diddy trial from the past week. So just want to bring that to your attention, you guys. If you're wanting to keep up to date with the P. Diddy trial, if that is something that interests you at all, Red Pill Rooster and I will be live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern to recap the previous week. So that's something that we've got going on. We've also got, it started in Taurus season, but it continues on into this season. James O'Keefe and his OMG Media Group exposing the Epstein Island, sharing actual videos inside of Epstein Island. I'm sure some of you guys have already seen this. Let's take a little listen to this.
Inside Epstein's bedroom, O'Keefe Media Group continues our exclusive tour of the private island formerly owned by the alleged sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and looking inside each of the buildings on the island. Today, we're going to bring you inside Jeffrey Epstein's bedroom. We've previously shown you the kitchen and the library, but in Epstein's bedroom, we've made our most dramatic discovery yet. Landline telephones that show pre-programmed speed dial buttons labeled with names. You see the phones on the side of the bedroom tables here. We're going to take a look at these phones and the names on them. But first, the room itself, sparsely furnished. On the desk, you see what's known as a phrenology skull. Phrenology is a debunked pseudoscience linking skull shape to personality traits. On one bedside table, you see a notepad that says Little St. James, that's the name of the island, printed at the bottom of each page, and a set of reading glasses of similar type worn by Epstein in deposition footage. The most striking detail, we see a Panasonic console phone on each bedside table. The multiple lines are labeled. The speed dial buttons bear the names of Epstein's staff and associates. These are the individuals Epstein called most frequently from his private island. Nobody has ever seen these before. We assume the FBI and the Department of Justice has these, but have not released it. Here you have NY office. That's Jeff Epstein's New York City office. This is Karina Shuliak, Epstein's last girlfriend. Darren Off, that's Darren Indike, an Epstein advisor and lawyer. You have Rich Office, that's Richard D. Kahn, Epstein's advisor and lawyer. And Patrick Sell, that's Patrick McMullen, an Epstein associate. And STC Office, that's the Special Tax Office of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Here we have another phone that was actually in a different room, but we see some of the same names and some new names. We see a Carlos, a Danny, which looks to...
And just going to pause this for a moment, you guys. Funny that Gemini rules telephones, ways of communicating, phones, landlines, anything that has to rule communication is Gemini. And we've got Jupiter in Gemini, this being released right before Gemini season. For those of you who want to keep up to date with James O'Keefe's amazing independent journalism, you can go follow him at OMG Media Group or James O'Keefe over on X. He's releasing all kinds of footage of what's inside Epstein Island. Absolutely wild. There's so much being revealed here, you guys. And if the P. Diddy trial Epstein Island not getting exposed is not enough for you. Okay, if this is not enough for you, did you hear about Candace Owens and what she just put out? Woo! This is a mind trip. Candace Owens just released, as we're going into this Gemini season, her interview with Harvey Weinstein. She thinks he's innocent. So, okay, I'm going to need to see all the evidence on this. This is absolutely crazy. Now we're going back to Me Too and Harvey Weinstein. Check this out.
I did not commit these crimes. I swear that before God and the people watching now and on my family. The people who support me are scared to talk. They are frightened to death that they're going to be canceled.
What I always found to be problematic about the Me Too movement from the beginning, we're conflating he made a pass at me and I didn't like it with rape.
It's a complete fabrication about my relationship with Gwyneth. I didn't put my hand on her. I didn't touch her. I definitely made a pass. Ashley Judd's claims are ridiculous. I settled with Rose McGowan. I gave her $100,000. Don't tell my wife. Don't get me in trouble. It's all conflated, and it's all led to the idea that I am going to be the one they persecute. They broke me. They broke me in half.
There's just so much when you read the transcripts that defy common sense for me.
I've asked to have lie detector tests brought into the prison. So I know they're not admissible, but I want the world to know.
To be honest with you, I think a lot of people are going to hear this conversation.
Candace, one thing I can tell you is this is going to explode.
Okay, so I'm not going to say he's innocent. I'm not going to say he's guilty. I'm just looking at this observer perspective, not absorbing it, just observing it. So guys, it's going to be every day of this Gemini season. And we're starting it off with a freaking bang. Harvey speaks. Full interview with Harvey Weinstein, someone from the past, right? It's going to be non-stop information being revealed after information being revealed. And, some of it's true and some of it's not true. Okay. We've also got President Trump, if any of you guys have been paying attention, posting some really intense things lately, right? The other day, President Trump posted literally on his Truth Social this picture of him and Obama. It says, "All roads lead to Obama. Retruth if you want public military tribunals." Right before Saturn enters Aries during this Gemini season, I've been telling you guys, if you've watched me for a while, if you've watched my stuff, you have heard me say with Saturn going into Aries, we're going to see the military more upfront. We're going to see justice more upfront. Wild. President Trump, who is a Gemini, he'll have his birthday during Gemini season. The other day, leading up to Gemini season, posting a video of the Clinton body count. For those of you who don't know what that is, there's a Clinton body count of all the people, a lot of freaking people that have died in very mysterious circumstances that were associated with Clintons. And President Trump, a Gemini, leading into this Gemini season, also posted the other day, how much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he is such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce, and how much went to Oprah and Bono? I'm going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates are not allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did under the guise of paying for entertainment. In addition, this was a very expensive and desperate effort to artificially build up her sparse crowds. It's not legal for these unpatriotic entertainers. This was just a corrupt and unlawful way to capitalize on a broken system. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And also, and this is just leading into Gemini season, we've just entered it and we already have so much crazy stuff going on every single day. Breaking news, news stories, information being revealed. James Comey, the former FBI director, right, for those of you who didn't see, posted the other day a picture of seashells on a beach in the formation of 8647. So insinuating to 86, the 47th president of the United States. So guys, information overload. And I think one of the big positives of this Gemini season, even though there's so much that's going to be coming out, we need to be mindful of that and grounded through that. Paying attention to our nervous systems through that, maybe taking social media breaks through that. Positive of this Gemini season, one of them is it's going to wake a lot of people up. Through Gemini is truth through common sense and the facts, and the proof through the facts. So there's going to be a lot of facts and receipts shown in areas where we've maybe been missing some real deal proof, which is going to wake up a lot of people. So let me know how you guys are feeling about what I've shared so far. Yes, Maria, again, observe, don't absorb. Wishing all my Geminis out there a very happy birthday season. Solar returns. And I think I've shared everything I want to share. I'm going to be live with Ashala, my Gemini soul sister, on the Beyond Mystic channels at 7 p.m. Eastern today. We'll talk a little bit more about this Gemini season and the upcoming new moon in Gemini on the 26th. So go check that out if you'd like to. And again, before I finish up, remember you can check out all my links in the description box below for readings, workshops, the Scorpling shop where we've got our astro crystal prescriptions, our natural calendar, e-calendar for this astrological year, and also Jens and I's upcoming Soulful Summer Solstice Retreat happening last weekend of June to celebrate the summer solstice in like-minded community. Almost sold out. We've got a few more spots left. So if you do want to come, make sure to go to megmoonbeam.com and sign up to confirm your spot in Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario, Canada. So excited for that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm wishing you an absolutely magical Gemini season and see you all later. Bye.